guys, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be doing a mid-year book wrap-up. I know it says like July book wrap-up probably in the title, maybe it doesn't, but I did not read fast enough for that. Like, I have not really been committed to reading like I should be, and so hopefully this channel will be keeping me accountable. But today I am going to be wrapping up all of the books that I have read throughout the year. I have a total of 7 books, so like I feel like that's enough for one video. So let's just go ahead and get started right away. A little disclaimer, some of these are like physically in, like I have the physical copies, or otherwise if it's not a physical copy I'll just post like a little picture on the screen. So the first book that I read this year was Just Mercy, and this is basically a book about the criminal justice system and the flaws that are in it. And this was actually a book that was assigned to me for my AP Lang class. And the book was good. It definitely touched on some subjects that I haven't really read a lot about, and so it was good to read about those. But basically every time that I feel like a book is assigned to me, I just feel like it becomes a chore, and then it just like takes like the enjoyment out of it way down. And so I didn't really end up enjoying this book as much as I could have, maybe if I went and seeked it out on my own. Plus it's just not really a genre that I really am familiar with and enjoy reading. I prefer like romance, maybe a little bit of fantasy, but not too much. So this is just basically a genre that I'm not very familiar with, and I don't know. It was good. I gave it 3 stars. It was a pretty solid book, but again, it's just something that's kind of out of my comfort zone, and the writing of it was very complex because they obviously were dealing with very complex issues, and so it was very complex, and so a lot of times it was kind of hard to even understand what was going on, and that's just, you know, kind of my fault. It's not anything wrong with the book. So then the next book that I read was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, and this is about a boy who lives in a small town, and everybody kind of goes against him, and they're all like, what's wrong with Archer? And they all kind of consider him to be like a weird guy, and basically he is mute, and we end up finding out like why he is mute later on in the book. And this girl comes to town, and she really decides that she wants to understand him, and she wants to form her own opinions on him after he helped her at like a local supermarket. And so basically they go and they meet, and Archer and this girl Bree. So Archer and Bree basically form a connection and like a bond, because Archer really like is grateful that Bree is accepting of him and listens to him, but Archer is not really familiar with, I don't know, anybody ever liking him, and he can't talk. Like, he doesn't talk to her, so they have to build a connection with only one person being able to speak, which is something that I haven't really read about before. This is a really good story. I gave this 3.75 stars. I know this is a very popular book. A lot of people give this book 5 stars. I don't really know what it was. Maybe it's because it had so much hype, and so going into it, like, I just expected it to be better than it was, I guess. But I gave it 3.75 stars, and it was still a really solid read. I feel like something that like is wrong with me is that I always have like book like blindness. I don't even know what you call it. Like, I read a book and then like I instantly forget about it. The next book that I read was Magnolia Parks by Haites, and this is another book that is very well hyped up on all of the different book talk, booktube, all of that. Everyone is always hyping this up, and everyone is always saying that this is a 5-star read for them. If you don't know about the Magnolia Parks series, they're basically all like these high people in London. They're very popular, they're very famous, and it's just about their life in London. Whenever anybody is recommending this book to you, they always say it's like Gossip Girl meets London, and I've never personally watched Gossip Girl. Something that's very interesting about the Magnolia Parks books is that they are very character driven. So it's not like you start here with the plot and then it goes up and then it goes down, and like it's all like plot driven. It's mainly focused on the characters and just how they interact with one another, which is something that I find interesting, but also at times can get kind of boring. And so for the first book especially, because right now I'm currently in the middle of the 3rd book. Right now I'm currently in the middle of Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home, and this one so far is my favorite in the series, but that'll be in a different wrap up. But this book I give a 4 stars. Okay, then right after that I went right into the Daisy Haites, which is the 2nd book, and I feel like people either love Daisy and Christian, or they love Magnolia and BJ. Personally, I like Magnolia and BJ. I'm a bigger fan of them than I am Daisy and Christian. So again, this follows Daisy and Christian, and it's really similar. Again, same thing, it's character driven instead of like a plot. This book I found a little bit less enjoyable. It just took me forever to get through it. Like, it took me months and months and months to get through this book, and it really put me in a reading slump. But then like once I got through like half of it, then once I got towards the back half, I kind of started speeding up a little bit. It's like the high lifes in London, except Daisy's brother Julian is actually like a criminal. Like, he goes around and steals things, and like that's really like a lot about this. It switches through Daisy's perspective, and she's kind of about Christian's about Daisy, and then Julian is about his like life and his criminal stuff. But basically Julian is Daisy's like caretaker ever since she was young, and so he's like very protective over her and her relationship with Christian. So I ended up rating this book a 3.5 stars. The next book that I read was The Nanny by Lana Ferguson, And this book is basically about Adam, is that his name? Aiden and Cassie. And this book has like a crazy plot. Like basically Cassie used to be a OnlyFans creator and Aiden followed her on OnlyFans. And all of a sudden Cassie's like corporate job, she got like fired, and so now she is looking for a different job and she becomes a nanny for Aiden. And throughout their interactions, she finds out that Aiden was her #1 fan on OnlyFans. Like, is that not crazy? That's literally insane. And this book was good. There was a lot of spice, and I just like don't really enjoy that. And so I felt like I was skipping through a lot of the pages, and for that reason I gave this book a 3.5 stars. Okay, sorry if the angle changed, but we have 2 more books to talk about. So the next book that I read is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, and I did not give this one a rating. Basically, if you don't know, this is a memoir that Jeanette McCurdy wrote, and it is about her life, so it's an autobiography, and it just talks about her life with a abusive mother and abusive parents, I guess, and her life working at Nickelodeon and all the crazy things. And like, let me just tell you guys, her life story is insane. Like, it's crazy what she went through and like just the stuff that happened. It was crazy. So it's definitely worth a read, but because it is an autobiography and like nonfiction, I decided not to rate it. I just feel like that's unfair to like rate somebody's life story. The final book that I've read is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and I realized that I kind of read this out of order because this is like supposed to be the 3rd book in the series, but I read it first. But whatever, it's alright. This book was about Justin and Emma is a travel nurse, and Justin is in a situation with like his family. He is brought into a situation where he is kind of not forced, but he decided to take on the role to parent his siblings after his mom is put in jail. But basically the way that these two come together is that they both believe that they have a curse, that when whoever they date, so like if Emma had a boyfriend and then they broke up, that boyfriend went and found their true love, and Justin feels the same way about his past relationships. And so Justin posts a Reddit thread talking about how everyone he dates goes off and finds their soulmate, and so he calls it like the curse, and Emma like is like, oh my gosh, I relate, I also have the curse. And so she decides to like link up with them, and she ends up, you know, they end up getting a connection, and it's just a great story. And like this guy, oh my gosh, like he is such a nice like book boyfriend, like one of the best. And this was just overall a really good book, and the only reason that I did not give it a 5 stars is because the middle kind of felt a little slow, and so it just didn't really give me that 5-star feeling. But I did end up giving this book a 4.5 stars. That is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know down below if there's any other videos that you would like to see from me. See you later.